Hey everyone, this is Saul from Three Kingdoms Games, coming to you today with a bit of a Commander primer. Now recently one of my viewers / regulars at the Markham store asked for some advice for Commander, since they just started getting into it. So I figured I'd try to impart some basic information onto you, just to get those, initial steps underway easier. For those of you who don't know, Commander is a multiplayer format of Magic that uses a 100-card deck. You pick a legendary creature to be your commander, and other than basic lands, you will only have one copy of every card in your deck, including your commander, to make the 100 cards. So you'll have a 99-card deck plus your commander. Whatever colors appear in your commander's cost and text box are the only colors that can appear in your deck. So, for instance, if you used Shalai, she is a white creature, but because she has an ability that requires green in the text box, you can also have green in your deck. If Shalai was your commander, you can have white, green, or colorless effects in your deck. That is it. So you could not use any cards that require paying mana of another color, because that is the way Commander works. The color identity of a card is defined by the cost as well as whatever abilities are in the text box. The easiest way I've found to start building a Commander deck is something called the Rule of 8, which was introduced to me by another one of my regulars not too long ago. The Rule of 8 will give you a good kind of skeletal deck, so you'll have a very good starting point. The Rule of 8 is you take 35 lands plus your commander to make 36, which will leave you with 64 cards. You pick 8 different effects you want your deck to do, and 8 cards for each effect. When I say effect, I mean things like draw cards, bounce spells, counter spells, whatever you think your deck should do or needs to do to win / survive till your win con. Once you've figured out the 8 cards you want for each effect, so for instance, if you had a ramp package, you would want your rampant growths, your explosive vegetations, cultivates, anything like that, that will help you go get lands out of your deck. You might even find some cards, which for sure you will find some cards, that can fit multiple categories for you. So you can then remove cards that aren't maybe as good. This will let you add more land if you need to, and progressively you will improve your deck that way. Once you think your deck is ready enough and you want to play it, go nuts. Cards that appear in almost every commander deck. Sol Ring is a colorless artifact that costs 1, and it taps for 2 mana. If you get this on turn 1, that means you'll have 3 mana on turn 2, or I've seen people go turn 1 land, Sol Ring, use the 2 mana to play another Mana Rock, as they're called. Artifacts that tap for lands are known as, or tap for mana, is known as Mana Rocks. As well as the other 2 cards that are most commonly in almost all commander decks, Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots. These both give haste to a creature as well as grant them protection of some kind, through the effects of Shroud or Hexproof. These are effects that are known as evasion. Usually you'll use these on commanders or any important combo pieces that you have to keep alive, or things you just don't want people messing with. Now, that is the most basic about deck construction. Another thing you always want to consider is what colors appear in your deck. In the hierarchy of colors in Commander, blue seems to reign supreme because of its Swiss Army knife of abilities. What I mean by this is the fact that blue can draw cards, counterspell, bounce effects, copy. The list goes on of all the things you can do with blue. So blue is probably the most played color in Commander. Next followed by green, because green gives you your land ramp, gives you card draw, gives you tokens if you want to do the Creature Swarm deck, can get you cards back from your graveyard. The list goes on as well for what green can do. Then you have black. Because of all the tutors, you have Vampiric Tutor, Diabolic Tutor, Diabolic Intent, everything in between that black can tutor for. As well as it has its graveyard recursion, its card draw, and a ton of other amazing effects. Then lastly, unfortunately, white and red are kind of tied because the card draw in red is not a positive card draw. What I mean by positive card draw is usually for effects like Faithless Looting, you draw 2 cards, you discard 2 cards. Most red effects have some kind of discard added to it, so you don't end up gaining cards, you end up with the same amount of cards. So you will have to improve your red deck with artifact-based card draw or land-based card draw. Whatever you use, you will have to add card draw to it that way. Same issues kind of fall into white. White can tutor though, which red can't. But ultimately, both of them are kind of weaker compared to the other 3 when you think of it as a commander color. So if you want to play white or you want to play red, generally speaking, because there's always exceptions to every rule in Commander because there's something like 20,000 cards that you can pick from, you're going to want to mix these with other colors. So for instance, if you wanted to play Izzet, that is a great color combination for Commander. You can do all your spell slinging shenanigans, counter spells, whatever you want to do. Or again, Azorius for white gives you control, it gives you tons of stuff. Lavinia is insane right now for that because there's tons of combos you can do with her. These are things you have to consider when you're building your deck. There you have it. That's kind of just some basic advice to start your deck construction for Commander. As always, if you want to follow us on major social media, that's all in the description box below. You can come into stores in either Toronto or Markham, see what's going on in store, as well as follow our blogs at threekingdomsgames.com. Those come up weekly. I'll see you next time.